Hello. We'll wait for some folks to log in the meantime. Let me go share the stream as I get the notification here in just a second.
That would probably be a good thing to do.
I still think it has our let's see. Put that there at the bottom. Does it still have our it still has the other shows the other shows show, if that makes any sense. It's okay. Let me see.
Yeah, I still got the other show.
We'll give that a quick edit real quick.
We also have captions going. Do we need to fill the airtime so it's not all silent?
Potentially. Give me 1 second.
Oh, the Railroaders made the playoffs, by the way.
Sure did. I was there for their playoff game. It was absolutely fantastic.
When was the first one?
It was yesterday.
Yesterday. Oh.
They won their first playoff game. Congrats to the Railroaders. They are on their way to Kane County in Indiana to play the Kane County Cougars in the first round.
I always wondered where Kane County was. I didn't know for sure.
It's in a weird little town, Geneva something in Indiana or something like that. Super exciting. They cleaned out with with a bunch of awards. Zach Narrier, not only was he an all-star yet again, not only did he finish batting over 300 yet again, he finished second in Player of the Year award, and he got Defensive Player of the Year award as well.
Oh,
so
nice.
I'd say that's a pretty good year for maybe the best or one or two or three best players in the entire league. So congrats to the Railroaders. They actually were the, I guess, pick of the litter, if that makes any sense. They were the lowest seed coming in.
The runt. Usually pick of the litter is like the best team.
Oh yeah, sorry. They were in as the lowest seed, and see if I can get this fixed here. I think we're still showing up under the other.
There's been a bunch of wild card
still
teams
showing up under the other name.
Win that way in like MLB and NFL, and so it does mean anything.
So the first seed got to pick who they wanted to play. That's how the playoffs work, and they decided to pass on the lower seeded Cleveland Railroaders.
Sometimes all it takes is being.
And they decided to play another team, and maybe they're paying for it because they lost. Number one seed lost their first game on the road. So,
but then again, Cleveland won their first game, so
it's true.
Might have been a smart choice.
We are the hotter team at the moment, though. We've won 8 in a row. The team that they were going up against had not won 8 in a row. So,
well, that's how the Rockies got to the World Series that year.
Yeah, they got really hot really quickly. Our pitching has come around. Our closing has come around. I've been to close to 25 games this year here in Cleveland.
I haven't been able to get to any of them.
They had an issue closing. They can close a baseball game now. Thank goodness. At the right time. So
I'll be honest, I haven't been to one since the very, very, very first game.
Oh, the first game they
restarted since back when Tris Speaker played for the Railroaders back in 1907, 1908.
So today's going to be an interesting show. We're going to have a couple of guests. We're going to have one in here call in just a minute. He's a good friend of mine. Have him on the show multiple times. And he talks a lot of football. We talk a lot of basketball during the season starts. But since the NFL season literally starts in about 10, 12 minutes or so, we're going to have him on, talk some NFL football, talk some college football. We're big into it. His name is Jonathan Terry. He hosts a podcast called Not Gonna Lie. And just making sure he has the number.
Well, I know the second guest we have has the number.
The second guest we have does have the number. That's correct. We'll have another guest calling in just a little bit. Right at the half hour. Do we even want to tease that? We'll just leave it. Yeah. We'll just leave it as a big surprise.
Well, my family knows because I'll just say this. He's my cousin.
He is calling in now. See if we can get him in here. Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's been a good minute since you've been on the show, Mr. Jonathan.
I know, yeah, it's been too long. I'm glad to be back though.
We're very happy to have you here as well. Let's get right into it. First of all, you are now releasing your podcast again. Is that correct?
That's right. Yes, or episode 2 just dropped. Tuesday evening.
Okay.
I believe so. Yeah, we went over NFC predictions. We were talking about some bets that we like for this weekend, all sorts of things like that. Yeah, so the podcast is back. Very excited.
That's good. You guys can follow him at Not Gonna Lie. I'm gonna put on a different set of headphones. Hold on. Do I hear him weird, or is that just me?
Probably might just be you. It could just be.
Anyway, okay, perfect. Oh, geez. Now I got myself tangled up. What a disaster.
Come on, Kelvin.
Sorry. We're getting it together. All right. There you are. Perfect. All right, Jonathan, there's a football game that starts in about 10 minutes. Boy, is there a lot of hype on Buffalo. Are you on the train or are you on the fence with the hype and just kind of seeing what happens? What are your thoughts on the Bills in tonight's game?
I think the biggest thing for me is hold on 1 second there. There we go. The biggest thing for me, looking at these two teams, is who can run the football, right? And I feel like we know what the offenses can do from the quarterback to Matthew Stafford, Josh Allen, obviously, both high level talent. But the big question is the running game for both of these teams. So obviously, in the offseason, the Bills drafted James Cook. And the Rams now have a full offseason of a healthy Cam Akers. And so that's the thing I'm going to be looking for is who can run the ball more effectively, because that's going to be the team that controls time for that forward team that ultimately wins the game.
Are you buying into the Bills hype that they're going to go 17-0 and just wipe away with every team this year?
I mean, I've got them as the top seed coming out of the AFC. I don't know about 17-0, but I think that they can win 13, 14 games. This is a high-powered offense, elite defense, adding Von Miller. So that's definitely they're a team that I'm looking at as a favorite to win Super Bowl one. Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching them play.
So there has been a number of quarterbacks, very kind of high-level guys. I could think of maybe two off the top of my head when it comes to Mahomes and Rodgers that maybe lost their number one target guys at the receiver position. Out of those two guys, and I guess if you want to say Stafford lost OBJ, but he still has Cooper Kupp, so it's not really going to be that big of a deal. But out of the guys that have maybe lost their number one guy, and I'll even throw Dak in that situation, Amari being gone, which one kind of takes the biggest hit? Is it Adams leaving Green Bay? Is it Tyreek Hill leaving Kansas City? Which one of those is a bigger deal for you when it comes to team success? Hello? Did we lose him?
Did the phone go out?
Nope. Call's still there. Jonathan, can you hear me?
Hello?
I wonder if he is... I wonder if he's in the middle of somewhere.
That could very well be a problem.
Sounded like he might have been driving. Let me see here. That could be an issue. Still says that we're on the phone with him. Oh, he's calling back again. Let's see. Hello?
Sorry, I think the call dropped. I think I'm back now. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, we can hear you now.
Yeah, I got you.
Did you get that last question or no?
Yeah. So I did catch that last question. So what? I guess it cut off halfway through. But what I'm really my mindset with this whole thing is, yes, the Packers did lose, or the Chiefs did lose Tyreek Hill, but they've got Travis Kelce. They signed Juju, and they also signed MVS. Looking at the offseason for the Packers, all they really did was draft two wide receivers, which a lot of people are high on, a lot of people have high expectations for. But statistically, historically, Aaron Rodgers doesn't trust rookie wide receivers. And so now you've essentially left him with Allen Lazard. So I think that just in terms of what both teams did to counteract that loss, I think Aaron Rodgers and the Packers are going to be feeling that hit a lot more.
I agree.
So with Juju, do you think he's going to produce the same numbers that Tyreek Hill did with Mahomes?
No, I don't think so, and I don't necessarily think that they're bringing him in to play that similar style. But you have to remember, he's 25 and he's a couple years removed from, being considered one of the top wide receivers in the NFL. And, even when he put up those big the numbers with Big Ben is nowhere near as good a quarterback as Patrick Mahomes is, obviously. And so I feel like, he may not be matching those same numbers, but he's definitely not playing. They're not expecting him to play the same style of football because, they do have Sky Moore, who they just drafted. They've got Mecole Hardman, who fit that Tyreek Hill bill a little bit better.
If you had to pick a guy that maybe from the quarterback position that has maybe the most pressure going into week 1, who would you say that is?
Ooh, can I give a couple? Can I give a couple answers?
Sure,
go for it.
There's two guys that come to mind immediately, and I think that they have this pressure because both of these teams really built around them in the offseason, added pieces, and it's actually where Tyreek Hill went. The first one is Tua Tagovailoa. Obviously, there have been some questions this offseason, some questionable videos that have been posted of him, underthrowing Tyreek Hill. I think it's interesting, because if this doesn't work and Tua isn't able to take that next step, then what do you really do as the Dolphins front office? And the other team, or the other quarterback, I should say, that has the most pressure is Jalen Hurts. So obviously, this offseason went and got Gardner Minshew, but same situation. If he doesn't take that next step, and if they don't consistently win games, where do you go? I mean, it's kind of concerning. So I think those are the two guys that I'm looking for, that have probably the most questions to answer and putting the most pressure on themselves to perform.
So I was looking at this. I have to ask you a Cowboys question just because there's people that are here, including the person that's sitting next to me co-hosting.
That's me. I'm a Cowboys fan.
Huge Cowboys fan. No Tyron Smith probably until late December, if everything goes well, and that's probably week 16, 17, somewhere along those lines.
I was hearing about week 12, 13 or so.
Okay.
Earliest.
Early December, perhaps. Either way, it's towards the end of the year. We signed Jason Peters, but I'm not really sure how much he can do. Maybe he can plug a hole. Now we hear that Dak may have an ankle injury, with the same ankle, re-aggravated with some cleats. I'm a little lost as to where they're going, but could this be a year where maybe we don't see the Cowboys in the playoffs? Is that too crazy of a take?
So we were just going through NFC predictions on my podcast this week, so you can give a listen to hear the rest of them. But I've got the Cowboys winning 10 games, but actually missing the playoffs due to some tiebreakers. And really, I don't think it's that crazy for a couple reasons. First off, I don't think that they really got better. Obviously they traded away Amari Cooper to save some salary cap space. But looking at, signing Jason Peters might be the most notable thing that pops into my head, at least in terms of off-season moves. And maybe some of the draft class would perform. But as of right now, it seems like the Cowboys are content to try and, just have their main focus on defense be get those turnovers, which, Trayvon Diggs, I think, has played, well for as young as he is. But, getting double-digit interceptions isn't sustainable, and relying on that as a form of defense isn't sustainable either. And so you've got another year older of a lot of these core guys. And then it's really up to the young guys. Can they perform consistently? I think we know this is CD's. He's wide receiver one, no one else. Can he perform at that top level that he needs to? Can Micah Parsons, repeat the performance that he had? Can Trayvon Diggs really shore up his coverage, and so that he's not just known as the big play? Can he limit his big plays that he allows and be a consistent every down corner? So there's a lot of questions, and they didn't really bring in a lot of reinforcements. They just we're trying to run it back. And I think, even the team last year, there were some concerns about really how deep they could go in the playoffs.
So 10 games and missing the playoffs. I'm kind of curious how your NFC and AFC kind of shape out really quickly. If you could give us a little rundown.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about that with the Cowboys missing the playoffs at 10 wins.
It could happen.
So, well, I mean, here's the difficult part is I believe, if I can remember correctly, I've got 10 teams and 9 teams over 500 in the AFC. It's 10-6 guarantees you a playoff spot in most cases, but with 17 games now, 10-7, that's really, it's more like a 9-7, where some things have to fall your way. And I had a couple teams that had tiebreakers at 10-7, and so the way I've got it breaking down, just to give you a quick rundown, is I've got the division winners is the 49ers, the Eagles, the Saints, and the and the Packers. And then my wild card teams are the Vikings, the Rams, and the Bucks. And that's not in the correct order, I don't think. But yeah, it's highly competitive at the top, and there are going to be a couple games I think that the Cowboys are going to lose that they should win, and that's going to be a big deal come tiebreaker time when you get towards the end of the season. And obviously, there's some wiggle room there, and they could, be on the right side of those tiebreakers and win 10 games. But it's just simply, going through each game by game and looking at the standings as a whole, they just got the short end of the stick.
Well, am I hearing you right? You said the Saints are going to win that division?
Yeah. So I
Listen,
feel like
let me interrupt you really quickly here. Justin doesn't know. Jonathan is very high on our boy Jameis Winston, and so healthy.
I'm not that high on him.
Healthy
he had a 30-30
Jameis
season, and this is baseball.
Hey, healthy Jameis Winston. Jonathan loves to sing the praises. So I'm curious. I was going to ask you about the Saints, but I'm glad you brought it up.
Well, I mean, I would root for the Saints too. I've got family from South Louisiana, so they root for the Saints. So when I'm not rooting for the Cowboys, a lot of times it's going to be for the Saints. But
all right, Jonathan, tell me how the Saints are going to win the Super Bowl this year.
I mean, go ahead and look back at Jameis Winston's numbers. Look at the Saints' record at the beginning of last season before he tore his ACL. That was a really good football team, and that was with wide receiver 1 being Marquez Callaway. Now coming into this season, you've got, as far as we know, Michael Thomas is going to be playing. They drafted a wide receiver in the first round, Chris Olave, and obviously added Jarvis Landry, who's a reliable slot receiver. And you pair that with the defense that I think is going to surprise a lot of people. I think people forget just how good they were. I mean, the defense practically won them a game against the Buccaneers last year when they were starting Ian Book. If I remember correctly, I think that was that game.
Yep.
But this is a great defense. This is a better wide receiver core for Jameis. He's proven that he can limit turnovers in that 6-game, 7-game sample size that we got from last year. And I see no reason why he can't take that to the next level. And we'll see how the new coaching staff, what style of play they bring out. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see the same gunslinger Jameis Winston, but a smarter decision maker, less turnovers, and that's going to lead to a good bit of wins for the New Orleans Saints.
I kind of tend to agree. I think they'll finish second, but I think they're going to win a lot of football games. Listen, I want to shift really quick here. I've got 5-6 minutes left. I want to go to college football. Before I even get into my big thing, I want to talk about the expanding to the 12 teams. But was there anything that stood out to you massively and big time over the first week of college football, Labor Day weekend?
Yeah, I mean, I think there was a couple of teams that, there were some debuts that we were like, all right, there's a lot of hype. Are they going to live up to it? Can they match that level? And there were a couple of teams that didn't, and there were a couple of teams that did. Obviously, LSU struggled. You would have liked to see them put on a better performance, especially in what was essentially a home game. I mean, it was in the Saints Stadium, but that's a short drive for folks at Baton Rouge, and it's growing increasingly prevalent that really that 1 year at LSU was that year, that they're not going to be that perennial contender that I think a lot of people hoped they would be.
Mm-hmm.
And so really that's, you kind of we have to live in that reality now.
Yeah.
This is sad for me because, as Washington State fan, I love the Pac-12. Utah had their best shot. That was going to be the team that was a dark horse to make the playoffs. And, well, that's about over as it stands with that loss to Florida. But what surprised me more than Utah struggling was just how electric the Florida quarterback was. I think it was that 2-point conversion play where he pump fakes, spins out, and finds his receiver just wide open. Those are the two things mainly that stick out to me. I think that, and obviously, Alabama's Alabama. I think they were 41.5-point favorites, and they had that covered by halftime. So it's pretty crazy what they're doing year after year. And you look at all these teams, they're just trying to compete. I mean, Ohio State struggled. Alabama's in a class of their own from my point of view.
So I want to talk about the 12-team playoff that they're planning on doing here in the next couple of years. Jonathan, you've sat across from me. We've had conversations about this hundreds of times when it comes to the playoff and how many teams and who we let in. And I just found it hilarious that we get this announcement that there's 12 teams now. And then I watched the number 3 Georgia Bulldogs absolutely obliterate number 11 Oregon. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my goodness, there's no way that they can have this be allowed in the playoff. I think 12 is way too many. Am I on an island here, or do you just like more games? Because I saw that and I said, oh my goodness, I don't need Georgia playing the 8th or 9th or even 10th best team, because I have a feeling I know how that's going to go.
Yeah, I mean, really all it is you get more games, and they're incorporating the bowl games into it. It's exciting. It's fun. But to be honest with you, I don't think we need 5 teams in college football playoff. Every year, I mean, we knew it was going to be Georgia and Alabama, I feel like. And there was a little bit of a question of maybe Ohio State if they can do something. But really looking back over the past couple of years, we haven't really even needed the 4 seed, right? Like there's been probably 3 teams that have a shot. And then, it's nice to have the 4 seed because I think, was it last year? Alabama was a 4 seed last year because they lost to Georgia.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so, it's nice to have them for that reason. But you're right. I don't think even at the end of the year, and obviously Oregon didn't deserve to be a top 12 team, but the 12th best team in college football at the end of the year is not going to have a shot against, the 3 or a 4 seed team that they'll play. It's for money. It's for more games. It makes it more exciting. But ultimately is not going to give us a different champion than what the season would be if we just had a 4-team playoff.
So it sounds like you're anti-Cinderella in college football.
I'm not anti-Cinderella. I think it's just more so of like the reality of, I think that a team like St. Peter's, that in college football, that happens because it's college football. You can get hot at the right time. You can make your shots. But football, it's methodical. You're making drives down the field. You're putting plays together. It's not just like, it's tougher to get hot in football, in my opinion, especially when you're going against Alabama, who has, basically a full NFL roster on offense and on defense. So it just makes it tough. And I think if there were Cinderella teams, it would have shown itself. But usually in football, especially with the college football playoff, the best team or one of the best teams usually wins.
Jonathan, I have 2 minutes. The Crimson Tide are here in Austin this weekend. And I think the line is 21.5. That's the last time I saw. Alabama's a favorite on the road. Is Texas, and I'll make this very quick, is Texas going to eventually regret joining the SEC from a competitive standpoint?
I mean, we'll see. Because as of right now, Arch Manning is set to join the team. And I think that there's a lot of talk about, Texas being back over the past couple of years. And I don't think they're back yet. I think they're moving in the right direction. But like we've seen, it's hard to really keep teams, at the top consistently. And We've seen teams rotate in and out. Georgia's kind of making a run now. Clemson had a bit. There was, a year of LSU. It's just tough. And the SEC, I mean, you're going to be battle tested. Usually those teams eat against each other. And so Texas is going to have a hard time doing what it needs to do. And that's, winning every game all but one to get into the college football playoff. And it's going to be tough because teams like Mississippi State, teams like Texas A&M, they play everyone in the SEC hard. Tennessee, I mean, it's not going to be easy. And it's definitely not like, how it would be for them in the Big 12.
Yeah, I agree.
So do you think the NIL would actually help Texas in this instance because they're such a big brand? They're recruiting all the guys to help beat the other teams in the SEC?
I think so. I mean, I think it's going to get them the high-level recruits, but it's not a matter of getting those recruits. It's what you do with them, and I think that there's a lot of teams or a lot of schools that can get those 5-star guys, but, they're going to struggle when it comes to, getting out there on the field.
Yep.
So that's really the biggest question for me is not about getting those guys, because I agree with you. I think they're a big market. I think they will, but it's what do they do once they get them and put them on the field?
Yeah, well, they have the best running back in the country, and it's not even close. John Robinson's amazing. Anyway, Jonathan, thanks so much, man. We got to go. I appreciate you. We'll talk to you later.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys.
Let's be honest. Wheelchairs are heavy, bulky, and ugly. If you carry a wheelchair in your car to take care of a loved one, you know how hard it is getting that clunky, old-style wheelchair in